I want you to do a quick mental exercise. Close your eyes for a second. Unless you're driving, please don't close your eyes. And picture a map of the world.
Okay.
Now, put a pin in the places where you think the absolute highest quality of life exists right now. Where are you pinning?
Well, if we're following the traditional narrative, everyone's pinning, Switzerland, maybe a nice fjord in Norway, or perhaps Melbourne or Vancouver.
Exactly. We are conditioned to think the good life, the safe, prosperous, happy life, is strictly a Western or, a Northern phenomenon.
Right.
But we have a stack of new data for 2025 on the desk today that basically takes that map, crumples it up, and throws it in the recycling bin.
It really does. The landscape has completely shifted. When you look at the top 10 destinations for expats globally this year, half of them, 5 out of 10, are in Asia.
That is a wild statistic. It's not just a couple outliers. It's a dominance.
It is.
So today we're doing a deep dive into Asia's expat hotspots for 2025. We're going to figure out why the center of gravity is moving east. We're talking about affordability, obviously, but we're also going to look at career growth, happiness metrics, and the surprising things that make people stay.
And we aren't just guessing here. We've pulled this from a really diverse stack of sources. We have the major expat satisfaction surveys, personal finance indices.
Livability rankings, right?
Yeah, from the BBC, International Living, Travel Weekly Asia. We're triangulating all this data to find the truth behind the hype.
So before we get into the rankings, and there are some genuine shocks in the rankings, we have to talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Or maybe the suitcase in the room. Knowing where to go is the fun daydreaming part. Actually figuring out how to set up a life there. That is the headache.
Oh, it's the logistical cliff that people fall off. You can love the idea of Bangkok, but if you don't have a place to sleep
Or a place to work.
the dream dies pretty fast.
Which is why it is great to have moveandstay.com as our partner for this deep dive. If you've been doing business in the Asia-Pacific region at any point in the last 2 decades, you probably know the name.
Oh, yeah.
They have been the bridge for business travelers and expats for over 25 years.
And that longevity really matters. They aren't some startup that just appeared. They specialize in extended stays.
Right.
We aren't talking about a 3-day holiday booking. We're talking about serviced apartments, serviced offices, the actual infrastructure you need when you're relocating.
Or on a long-term project. They connect professionals with the kind of accommodation that makes a foreign city actually feel like a home, not just a hotel room.
100%.
So keep that logistical piece in mind as we go through this list, because as we'll see, finding the right base is half the battle.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's look at the big picture first. The research is describing Asia as a magnet for 2025. Why now? Is this just about inflation in the West, or is there something more substantial happening?
It's definitely more than just things are cheap. If you zoom out, you see a trifecta driving this migration: affordability, vibrant culture, and career opportunities.
Okay.
But here's the fascinating nugget from the data. There's a direct correlation between personal finance scores and happiness scores.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me that money actually does buy happiness? Because I've been told the opposite my whole life.
Well, let's nuance that. The data suggests that money stress creates unhappiness.
Ah, okay.
What we're seeing in these Asian hubs is that people aren't necessarily happier because they're swimming in cash like Scrooge McDuck. They're happier because the existential dread of monthly bills is gone.
That makes so much sense. It's the absence of anxiety.
Exactly. When you remove the pressure of how am I going to pay rent this month, you suddenly have the mental bandwidth to appreciate the culture, the food, the people around you. It unlocks the lifestyle.
That resonates. If you aren't spending 50 or 60% of your income on a shoebox apartment in a rainy city, your baseline mood is probably going to improve.
Precisely. And that leads us directly to the first country we need to unpack. If your #1 priority is maximizing your disposable income,
Supercharging your savings.
if you want to supercharge your savings rate, there's one undisputed champion:
Vietnam.
Vietnam. It's ranked #5 globally overall, but for the 5th consecutive year, it is #1 on the Personal Finance Index.
5 years running. That's a dynasty. That's the Chicago Bulls of personal finance.
It really is, and the stats are just staggering. Nearly 90% of expats surveyed in Vietnam said they're satisfied with the cost of living.
90%.
Think about that for a second. Try to find a major city in the US or Europe where 90% of the population agrees that the rent is fair.
You'd be lucky to find 9%.
No.
Usually rent is the thing everyone complains about at dinner parties.
Exactly. In Vietnam, that conversation just changes. The sources highlight the ease of finding affordable housing as a primary benefit.
So you could get a modern apartment.
A modern serviced apartment in a major city like Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi for a fraction of what you'd pay for a studio in London or New York.
So on paper, it's a financial paradise. But we promised a balanced view. Life isn't just a spreadsheet. Where's the friction? There has to be a catch.
There is a catch, and the report is very honest about this. While Vietnam wins on finance, it struggles with digital life and administration.
Administration. That sounds like a polite word for paperwork hell.
It is. We're talking about bureaucracy. Visas can be complex. Dealing with government offices requires a lot of patience, and the red tape is very, very real.
So you're trading money for time.
You are paying for that low cost of living with your time and your patience.
And what about the infrastructure?
It's developing, but it's not seamless. The report flags things like air quality in the big cities and, traffic. Also, the digital infrastructure, internet speeds, online government services, it lags behind some of its neighbors.
So the takeaway for Vietnam is go there if you want to build your bankroll, but go with your eyes open. You need to be adaptable.
Correct. It's a high-value, high-patience destination.
Now let's pivot. Because if Vietnam is about saving money, this next country seems to be about making money. And this one genuinely surprised me.
Oh, this is probably the most significant shift in the 2025 data.
China. It jumped from 19th place all the way to 6th place in a single year. That is a massive leap.
It is.
Usually these rankings move an inch. China moved a mile. What's driving that?
While Vietnam is the story of personal finance, China is the story of the working life. The surge in its rankings is driven almost entirely by career metrics.
So we are talking about actual corporate ladders.
Yeah.
Getting ahead.
Yes. Expats in China are reporting very high scores for career prospects, competitive salaries, and job security. It's becoming the place to go if you want to be in the engine room of the global economy.
For the ambitious professional.
Exactly.
The sources also mentioned a specific dynamic there, a tale of two cities.
This is crucial. You can't just say, I'm moving to China and expect a uniform experience. The report really highlights Shanghai versus Beijing.
Break that down for us.
So Shanghai is the cosmopolitan hub. It's got that vibrant international community. It feels very connected to the global pulse.
And Beijing.
Beijing, on the other hand, offers that traditional cultural charm. It's the political heart, deeper in history, maybe a bit more challenging to navigate if you don't speak the language, but very rewarding.
It sounds like China is the destination for the moveandstay.com demographic.
Oh, for sure.
The corporate teams, the consultants, the people who are there to do business.
Exactly. This isn't usually the destination for the backpacker on a shoestring. This is where you see professionals who need high-quality serviced offices and apartments immediately.
Right.
They're there to work, and they need the infrastructure to support that high-paced lifestyle.
Right. Now let's move down the map to a newcomer to the top 10, Malaysia. It landed at number 10.
Malaysia is the sleeper hit of the year. It so often gets overshadowed.
How so?
You have Thailand for beaches to the north and Singapore for wealth to the south, and Malaysia just sits there quietly offering a really, really good deal.
What's its superpower?
The report calls it expat essentials, but specifically it's the language barrier or the lack of one.
Because of the history, English is widely spoken.
Widely and fluently. In business, in law, in the grocery store. The report notes that Malaysia just shines in the ease of settling in.
That is huge. I think people really underestimate the mental load of not being able to communicate.
Oh, it's exhausting. In some countries, simple tasks like setting up the internet or talking to a landlord can take days of frustration. In Malaysia, you just pick up the phone.
So it's soft landing.
Exactly. It removes that feeling of isolation that hits so many expats in the first 6 months. And when you combine that with accessible housing, which is another high point, it becomes a very attractive option.
So you get modern comforts without the extreme price tag.
The sources describe it as offering first-world comforts at a competitive cost. You have the malls, the highways, the international schools, but you are not paying Singapore prices.
It sounds like the pragmatic choice.
It is. It's the sensible choice. Very livable.
Speaking of livable, let's talk about the country that ranked number 4 overall, but number 2 specifically for expat happiness, Thailand.
The land of smiles, living up to the marketing. Thailand is the happiness hub of the 2025 data.
Is that just because everyone is on vacation mode? Or is there something structural there?
It's a mix, but the data points to abundant leisure options. It's the lifestyle culture. There's this concept in Thailand called sanuk, which roughly translates to having fun or finding pleasure in what you do.
Well,
And that attitude really permeates the expat experience.
so even if you're working, the environment allows you to decompress.
Yes, you aren't priced out of enjoyment. You can have a great meal, go for a massage, take a weekend trip to an island, and it doesn't break the bank.
And there's another factor, right?
Yes.
Especially for older expats.
Healthcare, yes.
Healthcare.
Thailand has developed a world-class medical tourism industry. The hospitals in Bangkok are like five-star hotels.
I've heard this.
JCI-accredited top-tier technology, but at a fraction of U.S. prices.
That is a massive differentiator from, say, Vietnam or Cambodia, where you might worry about the medical
A
facilities.
huge difference. For retirees or families, knowing that quality care is available and affordable is often the deciding factor.
And it seems to offer a lot of variety geographically.
It does. You have the frantic electric energy of Bangkok, which is a true megacity, but then you have the tranquil islands, or the mountains in the north like Chiang Mai.
So you can curate your own experience.
You really can, depending on what happiness looks like to you.
Okay, so we've got the finance hub, the career ladder, the soft landing, and the happiness hub. What about Indonesia? It came in at number 8.
Indonesia is interesting. It scores well on affordability like the others, but the standout metric here is the vibe.
The vibe. Is that a technical term in the report?
In this context, yes. It measures the welcome. Indonesia is praised extensively for friendly locals and a welcoming atmosphere. The report calls it a rich cultural tapestry.
So this is for the person who wants immersion, who wants to connect.
Yes. If you want to feel connected to a community, in some expat hubs, you can live in a bubble where you only talk to other foreigners. Indonesia, particularly places like Bali or parts of Jakarta, it tends to pull you in.
So less about efficiency, more about connection.
It's less about the efficiency. Traffic in Jakarta is legendary for being terrible, and more about the human connection. High warmth, high traffic.
That's a good way to put it. Now, we can't cover the whole region without at least mentioning a couple of the outliers, Cambodia and the Philippines.
Right. They didn't make the top 10 globally, but they're definitely part of the conversation. Cambodia is noted for extreme affordability. If your budget is very tight, that's where you look.
But the trade-off is infrastructure.
Big trade-off. It lags significantly behind Thailand or Malaysia in terms of services, roads, everything.
The Philippines.
High marks for adventure and friendly locals. English is also very common there, which is a huge plus, but it faces challenges with transportation. And interestingly, one of the few places where food quality ratings were a bit lower compared to its neighbors.
Which brings us to a topic I know you've been waiting to discuss. The food.
You really can't talk about Asia without talking about the food. It's not just sustenance. It's a pillar of the quality of life.
It was listed as a consistent pro across almost all these countries.
It's the great unifier. And the key thing the data shows is accessibility. In the West, amazing food is often a luxury, a special occasion. In Thailand and Malaysia, you have incredibly complex flavor profiles available on a street corner for $3.
It changes your whole daily routine. You don't meal prep, you go out.
Exactly. It becomes a social activity. In Vietnam, you have that legacy of French influence mixing with local ingredients. The banh mi, the coffee culture is incredible. In Indonesia, you have this diverse culinary landscape because it's an archipelago. The report really highlights that for expats, the food scene is a major happiness booster.
It turns every lunch break into a little adventure.
It does. It's a daily reminder of why you moved there.
So we have this incredible picture of 2025. People are flocking to Asia for money, for career, for happiness. But let's bring it back to reality for a second. Moving is hard.
It's incredibly stressful. Moving house down the street is stressful. Moving continents is a different beast entirely.
We talked about the bureaucracy in Vietnam or the specific needs in China. When you actually look at the logistics, the number one anxiety for any mover is, where will I sleep?
And where will I work?
Right. And not just for a night. This is the crucial distinction. If you are a consultant going to Shanghai for 6 months or a project manager heading to Bangkok for a year, you do not want a hotel room.
You'll go crazy in a hotel room for 6 months, eating room service on the bed.
Exactly. You need a kitchen, you need a living room, you need a separate workspace. But at the same time, you probably can't sign a complex 12-month lease in a foreign language.
No, or put down a huge deposit and buy furniture for a short stint.
That is the gap moveandstay.com fills.
Precisely. They specialize in that intermediate step service apartments. You get the amenities of a Hotel, cleaning, security, concierge, but the footprint and comfort of a real home.
And they handle the business side, too, with serviced offices.
Yes, so you can land in Ho Chi Minh City on a Monday and have a fully functioning office with high-speed internet and a receptionist by Tuesday morning.
That speed is vital. And because they've been doing this for 25 years, they know these specific markets we just discussed. They know the landscape.
That local knowledge is currency. They're trusted by professionals and corporate teams because they remove the friction. If our deep dive today is about why to go, move and stay is the how.
Right. They handle the housing landscape so you can focus on the career or the culture. It really highlights that while the dream is romantic, the execution needs to be practical.
Completely. You need a safe, comfortable place to retreat to at the end of the day. You need a base of operations before you can go enjoy the street food.
So let's wrap this up. We've seen a massive shift in the 2025 data. Let's do a quick recap for you if you're maybe eyeing your suitcase right now. If you're looking for pure value, it's Vietnam.
If you're looking for a career rocket ship and want to be in the center of the action, it's China.
For an easy transition with English and modern comforts, it's Malaysia.
And for pure lifestyle happiness, healthcare, and leisure, it's Thailand.
It is just fascinating to see how quality of life is being redefined. It used to be that you made your money in the West, you grinded in New York or London, and maybe, just maybe, you vacationed in the East.
Right.
Now people are building their entire lives there. The metrics for success are changing. It's no longer just about the gross number on the paycheck. It's about purchasing power parity.
What can that paycheck actually buy you in terms of time, comfort, and experience?
Which leaves us with a provocative thought for you to chew on. We often talk about the American dream, that idea of upward mobility, home ownership, and a comfortable life. But looking at this data, looking at the happiness scores and the financial freedom these expats are reporting,
You have to ask the question.
does the American dream, or at least the modern, attainable version of it, now live in Asia?
It's a question worth asking. If happiness is tied to purchasing power and the ability to build a life without crushing debt, the geography of the dream has definitely shifted.
Something to think about. If you are planning a move, definitely check out the sources we mentioned, and don't forget to look at the logistics of where you'll actually stay.
Absolutely. Do your research.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.